Venerable Mahasangha, dear friends, once again I would like to express my sincere thanks for having invited me to come and deliver this talk on the Buddha as a free thinker. Singapore Buddhist Mission has been doing a noble work here in this country to impart the sublime teachings of the Buddha. Their activities are confined for publications, religious talks, meditations, religious discussions, mostly on religious educational activities. Because there are many other temples where devotees can find out various other devotional aspects. The subject that we have chosen tonight is a very controversial subject. The word free thinker is not encouraged by Singapore government. This government wants each and every person to accept or to practice, to study his or her own religion. We really appreciate the attitude of the Singapore government. Then, what are we going to talk on this subject, the Buddha as a free thinker? What is the definitions of this word, free thinker? There are so many so-called free thinkers in this world. They are actually not thinkers. They are lazy people. They don't want to think, but they say they are free thinkers. The real meaning of free thinker we can find in the Buddha's teaching. Immediately after gaining his enlightenment, the Buddha has announced, when there were many disciples also. He said, monks, now you and me all are free from human and divine bondages. Here you can understand the real meaning of a free thinker. Naturally, people try to introduce their religious concepts and beliefs and practices depending on divine bondages and divine messages. Here, the Buddha has rejected this. He says he and his disciples were free from divine bondages. Again he says, free from human bondages. What are these bondages? Fetters. Various kinds of beliefs, superstitious ideas, traditions, customs maintained by people in the name of religion and for various other purposes. That is the meaning of bondage. Then how are we going to introduce Buddhism or the Buddha as a free thinker? Buddhism is a free religion. The Buddha has given full freedom for man to think freely without depending on God, without depending on Buddha, without depending on anything. That is called freedom. In the Western countries, this religion is known as religion of freedom and reason. Freedom must be guided by reason. Otherwise, people can misuse that freedom. Take for instance, if this government gives full freedom for people to live or to do according to their own free will, according to their wish. Government gives full freedom for you to behave as you like. There is no law, no police, no army, no jail. We want to test you whether you are going to behave as real human beings or not. I think within 24 hours they can ruin the whole country. That is the disadvantage of freedom if we give for man to use without allowing them to use their sense of reason. Then, why do people practice religion? Some people say, God has given free will for man to use, but unfortunately, man has misused, abused that free will. Buddhism never agrees with this saying. No one has given us any free will. No one has given any freedom. It is our intrinsic, inherited human behavior, human character, human mind that man has developed life after life. So, cultured and uncultured, civilized and uncivilized, religious or irreligious, good and bad, wicked and kind, people maintain their attitude according to their mental habits that they have developed life after life, not given by anybody. Then, religion is important here to guide man's way of thinking and direct by giving proper guidelines for man to use his freedom without depending on anybody. Why? Why can't we depend on anybody? If we are going to stop our evil, bad, wicked, cruel, dangerous things, thinking that there is somebody to punish us, we never give chance for our mind to cultivate understanding, kindness, compassion in our mind. Because of fear of that punishment, by depending on somebody, some people stop. On the other hand, when people want to do some good deeds, some service to others, by depending on somebody, thinking that they can get a big reward, also never develop compassion, sympathy, understanding in their mind. They develop their selfish motive. So both avoid evil deeds, to escape from punishment, it is selfishness. Do good to get a reward from somebody, it is selfishness. Buddhism never supports this concept, this belief. Supposing if heaven and hell both were closed down, you can see whether there is anything for people to practice as religion. How many people remain as religious people if there is no heaven or hell? But people can practice Buddhism without depending on heaven and without creating fear, thinking about hell. This is the beauty in the Buddha's teaching. The Buddha wanted to cultivate man's way of thinking by cultivating his ideas according to certain moral code, ethical code, discipline, mental training, character building. But not by creating temptation in the man's mind, illustrating heaven. But not by creating fear in the man's mind, by illustrating hellfire. So that is why people appreciate this religion as a religion of freedom and reason. Then, the method introduced by the Buddha for us to learn, to think, to investigate, and to understand. There is nothing for us to accept at once through our belief. The Buddha says, don't accept anything through your emotional faith, because it is difficult for you to understand the truth, fact, or reality, because that faith can become a blind faith. Later, they can behave as religious fanatics. They have not developed analytical knowledge in their mind to understand why we should practice certain things and why we should keep away from certain things. Take for instance, a small child who cannot understand things properly. Father or mother threaten him when he is very mischievous to beat him, not to violate or not to make mistakes. Because of that fear, the child may stop evil deeds or bad deeds or mistakes. But he never realized why it is wrong, where the mistake is. That is the danger of fear of punishment. Again, when they ask that child to do something, he refuses. Then the father or mother say, if you do this, we will give you ice cream or chocolate. That is reward. Then he will do that, but no understanding. So we should not introduce a religion in that way. No understanding. When I used to visit Pudu jail in Kerala as a visiting justice to go and talk to those inmates in the prison. So they have told me, many of those youngsters, we had to join with bad hats, gangsters, robbery, and various other crimes and offences. So today we are here in the jail. Then I asked, what are you going to do when you are released from this jail? They say, we have no other choice, we have to carry on the same. it clearly shows punishment is not the remedy to correct, to educate man's mind. So if we try to introduce religion through punishment and reward, never cultivate understanding in the man's mind. That is why you cannot find any religious punishment in Buddhism. It is not the duty of a religion. Religion must guide, educate, enlighten, point out. Punishment is the duty of a government. So religion should not undertake the duties of a government to punish people in the name of a religion. They develop fear but no understanding. Here you can understand the nature of the Buddha's doctrine, teaching or religion. Why we introduce him as a free thinker. A group of young people who could not understand how to find out the truths in religion. At that time, there were more than 62 religious groups in India. So they approached the Buddha and reported to him what their problem. They say they do not know how to choose a proper religion. The Buddha did not say that Buddhism is the only religion. All the other religions are wrong. He never uttered such words. Then he gave certain guidelines for these young people to think free, without depending on anything. This teaching is the most important aspect in the Buddha's doctrine, that the whole world, or the intellectuals all over the world, appreciate the Buddha's attitude. He never said that the Buddha is the only religious teacher. If you come and worship and pray to the Buddha, you will be saved. Your sins will be forgiven. You will be in heaven or in nirvana. He has never uttered that you should not worship another religious teacher. If you worship another religious teacher, if you respect another religious teacher, it is a sin. You may go to hell. Unfortunately, there are some religions amongst human beings. If you step into another place of worship, it is a sin. If you read another religious book, it is a sin. If you listen to another religious talk, a sin. Can you understand the nature of human mind? How human beings are blindfolded, misled by religious people, indoctrinating, poisoning innocent human mind, to discriminate, to hate, to create jealousy amongst various religious groups. Can you find such teaching in the Buddha doctrine? Or can you find such attitude among the followers of the Buddha for the last 2,500 years? That is why Buddhists do not organize a scheme, or they never lay underground cable to convert people by adapting all sort of monkey tricks using as religion. Buddhists are not keen to convert the followers of other religions. Buddhists never regard they are the only blessed people, all the others are sinners. Buddhists never convert anybody. Buddhism never advised people to baptize, to forgive the sin. How can we forgive a sin committed by another person? We can see the vast difference. Again, from your birth up to your graveyard, the freedom that you enjoy as Buddhist, you can see when you compare your freedom with others. There is no such religious law in Buddhism that your child must be baptized to forgive the sin. It is up to you. There is no such thing that the marriage must be performed in a religious place, because this marriage is being recorded in heaven. That is why they say it is impossible to divorce, because after this marriage in that place of worship, they sent a cable to heaven and so got married here in the church or somewhere else. When they want to divorce, they say, no, you cannot divorce because it's already recorded in heaven. Why can't they send another cable to heaven saying that so and so is separated? I cannot understand what is the difficulty. Well, religion we have to accept as a free choice, not as a law. According to our own conviction, we must accept a religion, and for that religion, the label is immaterial. Today, the whole world is fighting to introduce religious labels, but nobody to introduce religion. They are fighting, killing each other, harboring jealousy, hatred, to introduce religious labels. Now, innocent Buddhists and Hindus or some others who can satisfy with their religion have been practicing this religion for more than 2,000, 3,000 years as their culture, as their tradition, as their way of life, a rich philosophy, a rich psychology, and morals and ethics. But some others come and tell you, you must accept this religion, otherwise you go to hell. Can you imagine? They want to give another religious label. That's all. That label is enough for you to go to heaven. Take in my case. I have dedicated my life for more than 60 years to lead a religious life, to avoid evil deeds as much as possible by knowing that they are wrong. Try to do good as much as possible. Try to do some service to others without hurting, disturbing, bluffing, swindling, hurting them. But even then, I have no chance to go to heaven. A culprit who has violated and endangered innocent people by committing all sorts of evil, before his death, people come and say, if you embrace this religion, the God forgive all your sins that you have committed and straight away you will be in heaven. So that culprit had the chance to go to heaven after violating all the evil, innocent people, peace and happiness. The man who has done service to others, trying to cultivate way of life by observing all the good qualities and virtues, have no chance to go to heaven. Is that the way of religion? How are we going to justify religion? So, our way of practicing religion is not to have a separate religious label. We believe whether people have different religious labels, they are Christians or Hindus or Muslims or even so-called freethinkers. If they are good people, cultured people, if they do not harm others, and if they behave as gentlemen, they are religious people to us. The main purpose of religion is not only for worshipping or praying. The main purpose of religion is to cultivate man's way of life, moral conduct, to train, to discipline man's way of thinking, to maintain peace, happiness, calmness, tranquility in the mind. We have three characters, natures in our life. Intrinsic nature, animal nature, human nature, and divine nature, and sublime nature. Four stages. The duty of a religion is to suppress, to control the animal nature, animal instinct of the man's mind. By praying, we cannot eradicate this. To cultivate humane qualities, we have humane qualities. This is the difference between animals and humans. The difference between animals and humans mentioned in one of the Sanskrit stanzas. Ahara nidra bhaya maithunancha samanya metat pasubhit naram dharmo hi tesam adhiko visesa dharmena hina pasubhit samam. Beautiful saying. Eating, sleeping, pleasure or sex are very common among the animals. Then, if human beings also lead their life only for eating and sleeping and enjoying and sex, then what is the difference between animals and human beings? No difference at all. Only difference is you are two-legged, they are four-legged. They have tail and you have no tail. Here, dharmo hi tesam adhiko visesa. There is a difference. What is it? There is something in the man's mind. It is called dharma or dhamma. What is this dharma? This dharma is based on our humane qualities. As human beings, we have to cultivate moral shame and moral fear. What is it? Fear of evil, wicked, cruel, dangerous things to commit it. That is called moral fear. Moral shame. If you think as human beings, it is shameful thing for us to do this kind of dirty things. That is called moral shame. To maintain human dignity, to give credit to human intelligence, you have to maintain moral shame and moral fear. Today we have so many religions, almost every day, churches, mosques, temples, places of worshippers, crowded. They say religion is progressing very well. Everywhere praying and worshipping and burning justice and papers. But no shame, no fear in the man's mind. Then where is religion? Even humanism also not there. Because humanism is lower than religion. Religion is above humanism. So we have to cultivate humane qualities. What are those qualities? You must have understanding to maintain human dignity. Behave as human beings. How to behave as human beings? If you can live without disturbing another person or without disturbing others, that is more than enough. But can you do that? Then what is the big idea of praying and worshiping? Then we have to cultivate some sort of patience, tolerance, compassion, kindness, honesty or sincerity. How many human beings are there on this earth today where you can find honest men? The other day also I mentioned, all are gentlemen, but very difficult for us to find out a gentle man. But all are gentlemen. This is the nature of mankind today. So these are called humane qualities. Religion can do that. Your science, your technology, your nuclear science cannot train man's mental attitude. Well-known scientist Albert Einstein has said, nuclear energy could manage to change the whole world, but nuclear energy cannot change the man's mind. Then who can change it? You can worship to God asking Him to change your mind. I don't think it works. You can offer all sorts of things to your devils and your ghosts. I don't think they can change anything in your life. Then the Buddha has said, if there is anybody in this world who can change your mind, you are the only one. Buddha also cannot change your mind. He can give you idea how to do that. This doctrine, this method is to tell you how to train that mind. Because these mental habits, our attitudes, we have cultivated life after life for a long period. That is why it is difficult for us to train, discipline, tame our mind. Without religion, we cannot train. Therefore, religion is important, but not religious living. Whether it is Buddhism or Christianity or Islam or Hinduism makes no difference to us. If they can cultivate these good qualities, if there is heaven, all of them can enjoy same heavenly bliss, because heaven is not reserved or monopolized by one particular religious group, common to everybody. If there is, then not completed. A spiritual development or divine nature. What is divine nature? Divine nature is not above. We should not wait until this divinity, the divine qualities, come down from heaven. We have to cultivate. By eradicating animal nature, developing human nature, we gain divine nature. Not by worshipping or praying. It's a gradual development. What is this divine nature? Where we behave as noble, reliable, or trustworthy human beings without any suspicion. But today, can you trust another human being. Husband and wife also cannot trust each other. This is the nature of human mind. We can trust animals. We can trust ghosts and devils. Invisible ghosts and devils we can trust, but not these visible devils and ghosts. Invisible ones are not that dangerous, but these visible ghosts and devils are more dangerous than those invisible ones. Scared of them. So, almost every day we are shivering with fear, suspicion, tension because of human beings, not because of devils or ghosts. Here you can understand why religion is important to cultivate this mind. Then what is the sublime, higher than that divine quality? Metta, Karuna, Mudita, Upekha, 4 qualities must be there to achieve that end. Cultivate your goodwill and friendship without any discrimination. Buddhism teaches metta, goodwill, friendship. Christianity preaches love. Islam preaches brotherhood. Hinduism preaches oneness without any difference. They do their practice. They can say yes. They do practice. They extend this only towards their own community. Brotherhood among the followers of that religion. To others, no such brotherhood. Kindness and compassion towards their own religious group, but not to others. They hate others. That is not the way how Buddha has introduced it. He says, Bhutava Sambhavetiva, those who are born or unborn. Diktava Jiva Additta, visible or invisible, living being. Extend this goodwill, kindness, compassion, loving kindness. This is the Buddhist attitude. No frontier, no limit. So, we use all these things as names just to glorify about our religion, just to convert people by illustrating beautiful stories. Anyway, let me complete. The advice given by the Buddha to this young group, he said, first thing, you should not depend on mere report. People can report, they can record according to their way of thinking. So you should not accept anything at once by depending on report recorded by somebody. That is the first advice given by him. I think you can understand, no need to elaborate. Second thing, not to depend on your tradition. This is the biggest problem we are facing. We have so many traditions, customs, introduced by our forefathers, if not by primitive people, according to their way of thinking at that time. They had their own imaginations. Science and technology and worldly knowledge about life and the world and the universe was very, very poor at that time. Because of the fear that they have created in their mind, they started various kind of rites and rituals and ceremonies, later become tradition. These traditions later we converted into culture. So today we accept them as our culture. We think we are bound to accept and practice these things. The Buddha's advice is not to depend on your own tradition to justify that you can find truth in your tradition. At the same time, he also did not advise you to throw away all your tradition. He respects culture, he respects tradition, but try to find out whether there is any significance, any meaning, whether good for you as well as for others. If useful, meaningful, accept. If not, give up. Third one, hearsay. People come and tell you all sorts of cock and bull stories about miracles, supernatural powers of their masters, gurus, teachers, religion, God and goddesses, angels. They spread, they exaggerate, they beautify, decorate all sorts of stories and come and tell you to influence you, to tempt you. The Buddha's advice is don't accept what they say. You can listen. You must understand. You are not fools. First you must understand this. You have human mind, but you never give chance for that human mind to think unbiasedly. Always depend on something or somebody. That means you become biased. Then listen to others. Accept what they say. Later you will come to know what you have accepted is wrong. So without investigating, without using your common sense, don't accept anything. Next one, don't depend on your holy book or authorities. People always say, our holy book says like this. This is a divine message recorded by religious authorities. You have to accept it. Buddha's advice is not to accept, although it is recorded in your holy book. Even in the Buddhist book. Can you find out a religious teacher in this world who can utter such words? See how much credit that he has given, how much freedom that he has given for man to think, to reason. People say this is a divine message. Given to whom? Given to somebody, only to one man. Why only this message was given to one man? Why only one particular country? If it is a divine message, it must be given to whole mankind. Therefore, they say this is a secret message given by God. Yes, we believe that there must be some secret. Otherwise they never say. There is no reason why God is scared of man. Come and announce. There is no controversy we accept. That's why the Buddha says people can record anything in their book. Later come and introduce, this is a divine message, this is a holy book. You have no argument. Your duty is to accept. Buddha says don't accept. Think whether it is right or wrong. Then the authorities, religious authorities use their full power to control human beings as cattle, as animals. They have their ready-made religious concept, so they hand over their concept to you. So your duty is to accept these ready-made religious concepts. You cannot doubt. You cannot ask questions. So you have to accept. So you have no chance to use your free will or your common sense, your reasoning, your human mind. The Buddha did not introduce this kind of religion. Then, do not accept anything through mere reasoning. Now this is a very big problem. Every time when we talk, we advise you not to accept anything without reasoning. Here the Buddha says, don't depend on mere reasoning. Why? Our reasoning is very limited. Even small children also can reason out. According to their way of thinking, they can reason out. We can reason out certain things. We think our reason is correct. There are well-known great philosophers, thinkers, scientists, psychologists in this world. In the eyes of those highly intellectuals, our reasoning is not correct. Again, the reasoning of those scientists, philosophers, psychologists, or great thinkers, when you compare with those enlightened religious teachers, in the eyes of those enlightened religious teachers, can understand their reasoning also not complete, not correct. That is why the Buddha says, to accept the truth, to accept anything as reality, at once you should not use your limited five senses and limited way of thinking to reason out. Since there is no any other choice, for the time being you have to use, but later you have to change. Take in my case, when I was young, I had my own reasoning for many things, but today I have changed all those reasoning that I had earlier. In time to come, again I will change my reasoning. That means the reasoning is going on advancing according to our experience, our knowledge and maturity. Then, don't accept through arguments. Arguments depend on talent, ability, knowledge, language, and cunning. All these qualities are there when we are going to argue. Take for instance, two religious groups, two persons argue. Then go on arguing and arguing. One person is talented, the other one is expert on that religion, but his talent and skill and language is not so advanced. That cunning and talented person can topple the other person because of his skill and ability. Not only that, this argument later becomes heated argument. Then start attacking each other, exchanging harsh words. Then develop jealousy, anger, hatred. Now these two are fighting, the truth runs. Then how to find out the truth? Through argument. So my advice is not to argue with others when you are going to talk about religion. You can talk nicely. If the other person is not ready to accept, then you can say, we have no disagreement. We agree to disagree. There is no problem. No fight, no argument. Then, one's own inference. We infer according to our way of thinking. There are various metaphysical, speculative beliefs, concepts, ideas about the universe, the world, heaven, hell, ghost, a spirit, God, soul, rebirth. But all these things we infer, we measure according to our way of thinking. After that we try to justify, then argue. A Buddhist and a Christian. They were talking about rebirth. A Christian friend asked the Buddhist, actually, can you tell me what will happen to you after your death? Then that man said, well, if anything happened to you after your death, I believe same thing happened to me also. No extraordinary happening. That means he does not depend on this inference. Because if anything happens after our death, it is natural. According to our respective religion, we cannot change it. Many people cannot understand. We think when we believe something, according to our belief we can change. Take for instance, you can say as Buddhist, you believe in rebirth. Rebirth is natural. Assume by nature there is no such thing as rebirth. But can you create that rebirth just because you believe? Impossible. On the other hand, some others say, we don't believe in rebirth. If rebirth is natural, can they stop this rebirth just because they don't believe it? It doesn't work. Our people cannot understand. Our birth, our sicknesses, our old age, death, worries and troubles and problems and calamities, all are natural, common, irrespective of religious label. So there is no ground to show any superiority. One religion is superior to the other. The nature never discriminates, really. So if anything happens after our death, that happening also natural, not according to religious labels or religious belief. Human mind, the way how we use our human mind, universally accepted good and bad, morals and ethics, bad karma and good karma, not belong to any religion. These natural laws are functioning. So without religion they exist. That is what the Buddha says. The Dharma remains forever, whether Buddhas appear or not. The Buddhas cannot create Dharma. Buddhas cannot destroy Dharma. God cannot create or destroy Dharma. All these are universal laws. That is how world exists. So those who cannot understand this Dharma interpret as God for good things and interpret as devil for bad. The Dharma is function. Here the Buddha says, don't create such inference in your mind. Certain things you cannot understand unless and until you develop your mind by eradicating illusions, delusions, hallucinations, ignorance, hatred, craving, selfishness from your mind. All these things like dark clouds moving around your mind. That is why you cannot understand things properly. Then, which appears to be true? When you look at, when you listen, when you read, when you think, you believe that it is true. But we have not used any other faculty. When you look at, when you listen, when you read, when you think, you believe that it is true. But we have not used any other faculties, any other reason, or measuring, comparing, investigating, to find out whether it is true or not. Most of those miracles, supernatural powers, occultism, mysticism, magic are based on this. You think it is true, accept. Later, you come to know that it is not true. When your mind develops according to your experience. So the Buddha said, don't accept at once, thinking in that way. Again he says, speculative opinions. People spread all sorts of rumors, their opinions, their ideas. Take simple examples. What happened to that potato? Suddenly collapsed the whole thing. Now we create speculation because we do not know the cause. Thousands of people create thousands of opinions. It must be this, or it must be that, or this, or that. If not, that's what we call, which appeared in the sky recently. That one is responsible for all these things. But nobody knows what is the cause. After some time, we may find out the reason or the cause. So in the case, the Buddha said, don't accept at once, thinking, oh, that may be the cause, unless you realize what it is. Then, another's seeming ability. Usually people say, the majority here in this world follow this religion, follow this teacher, follow this God, follow this method. Therefore we also must follow. But you cannot understand. Majority here actually in this world are not intelligent. Very, very few people are intelligent. So people follow so many methods and traditions and customs and beliefs and superstitious ideas for their personal benefit, because of their fear, for their protection, for their prosperity, thinking that they can gain this, gain that. But later, they will come to know there is nothing. So the Buddha did not advise people to follow a religion just because the majority here in this world follow this religion, or this tradition, or this custom, or this way of life. Then, by thinking, the founder of this religion is a great man, therefore we must accept this religion. And this is the most significant, remarkable statement made by the Buddha. So when you come to Buddhism, according to the Buddha, you should not accept Buddhism thinking that the Buddha is a great man, therefore we must accept this religion. There were many other occasions the Buddha has mentioned the same thing. He says, if you accept a religion by depending on person, it will become personality cult. You arrest your freedom because you depend on somebody. If you accept the truth revealed by a religious teacher without depending on that particular person, then you realize the truth. That's why I told you earlier, the Buddha has never said that you must follow me, worship me, respect me, pray to me, don't worship and pray to others. No such teaching. Again he says, whenever you can find out truth, whether it is in this religion or that religion, or in any other subject, accept if it is true. If you can understand that it is true, therefore you cannot say, oh, we cannot accept this because it is not in our religion. It is a weakness. Because one religious teacher cannot reveal everything in this world. according to circumstances, incidents, occurrences. Religious teachers have revealed certain things. The Buddha has said, for the last 45 years, I have revealed only little, which are more important for you to cultivate your human qualities and develop your divine qualities, spiritual development, nirvana, for your final salvation, to find out the aim of your life, the purpose of your life. That is the main purpose, main duty of my preaching. So I did not appear in this world to tell you about this world, about the beginning of the world, end of the world, and how many stars are there in one galaxy, how far from this to that. It is not my duty. My duty is to cultivate man's way of life, to guide them to find out their salvation, because they cannot understand how to find out. So by depending on a teacher or founder of religion, we cannot understand him. He says, Tumhe icchan atappam akkhataro tatha. The Buddhas can tell you what to do, but you have to work for that. Don't wait for Buddha to do for you. So Buddhism is not a lazy man's religion. It is a practical, active religion for you to do something in order to cultivate your way of life, way of thinking. Another person cannot do this for you. If you are cunning, cruel, or wicked, selfish, do you think there is another person in this world who can take away this mental attitude from your mind? Impossible. We have never seen. But you can do that by realizing, yes, my attitude is wrong. Cunningness, wickedness, cruelty, these are harmful, dangerous, therefore I must stop. So you are the only one who can do that. But the Buddha has given all the necessary methods how to do that. The Buddha cannot take away your cruelty, your selfishness from your mind. So we also don't believe that God can take away our cunningness, selfishness from our mind. We have to do that. Here you can understand why we introduce the Buddha as a free thinker. I hope these few words are enough for you to think. Thank you very much for your indulgence.
Now it's time for questions. And questions definitely would not be your passport to heaven or Nibbana, but it should be a tool used to further understand something of what the Venerable has just said, or if you have any doubts on Buddhism, please feel free to ask questions. We have standing mics all over the place. Looks like Venerable Sir, they have a very good sense of understanding. They either understood everything that you said, or they feel that they have to agree with what you have just said.
Today they have become free thinkers. Because you must give them time to think. Then next time they will ask this.
Excuse me, Venerable Sir.
Yes.
How do you assume that karma, how do you assume that rebirth is a natural?
Yes. Yes, you want to know further clarification about rebirth. Just now I told you, there is nobody in this world who can create rebirth. Buddha also cannot create. God also cannot create. And our belief also cannot create rebirth. Whether we believe or not, whether we have a religion or not, each and every human being, the other living beings also, according to their way of thinking, according to their way of talking, according to their way of doing things, going on accumulating mental habits. These mental habits we introduce as good karma and bad karma. These are words. It is mental habit. So when we are going to die, no external forces to influence us. We have 4 mental faculties: Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana. Our feeling or sensation, our perception, that means our identification, recognition, different mental faculties. Sankhara, mental habits that we have developed life after life, good and bad. That is why we can see even small children from their childhood, some are cunning, some are honest, some are cruel, some are kind, some are intelligent, others are stupid. Now, who have given this mental attitude to us? Do you think parents have given? God has given? That is their own mental habits that they have developed. And very difficult to change that attitude, but can change into certain extent. These are the things that we introduce as mental habits that we develop. And we have our own likes and dislikes. For nothing, we don't like certain things, certain food, dress, color, culture, language. All these are our habits. Then the last one is consciousness. Consciousness is very rich. The materials, the objects that we grasp through our senses, mental objects, and all the other 3 mental faculties just now I mentioned, all join together and become very dynamic, energetic mental force. So when this consciousness transmitted from our body or mind, the elements in our body slowly disintegrate, dissolve, because the mental energy is no more. But this transmitted consciousness, in that consciousness you can find the craving that we have developed throughout our life, selfishness we have developed, attachments that we have developed, and all the mental habits as good and bad, karma. See how rich. So, mental energy proceeds more powerful than atomic energy. Karmic energy guides. Craving and attachment drag, cling. Then this departed consciousness absorbs into existing cosmic energies, cosmic laws, elements and so many other things, known and unknown things. Then the nucleus of another life will be originated because of the influence of this. Then slowly development takes. So nobody can create this. Our belief cannot create this. Whether we have done this due to our ignorance or due to some other reason, these excuses are immaterial. That is why I told you, rebirth is natural. No one can stop it. But by knowing this situation, why should we allow this life to remain forever like this, suffering, birth, decay, sicknesses, trouble, the death, rebirth. Again start going round and round, again round and no end to it. So those who can understand this, they think, why not I try to stop it? But simply by praying for that you cannot stop. Asking God or Buddha, you cannot stop this. Simply by maintaining, I don't want to be born again, it doesn't work. Because you have craving. So many other kinds of craving there. Then you have to reduce 3 kinds of craving in your mind. Kamma, Bhava, Vibhava tanha. You are craving for sensual, worldly pleasure. The whole world is fighting because of this sensual pleasure. Animals also fighting because of this pleasure. Now we can understand why it is dangerous. Bhava tanha. We develop 2 kinds of bhava tanha. Becoming, craving for existence. We can kill millions of others to maintain one life because of our craving for existence. We can disturb, hurt, we can do any cruel, wicked thing for our existence. That is called craving for existence. Again we develop craving for existence hereafter. Some people want to be born in a very rich family, have a wonderful life. Craving for existence. Some people crave to go to heaven and enjoy, and they think it is eternal, permanent, everlasting. It is craving for existence. Last one is craving for non-existence. It is very difficult to understand. There are three ways we develop this craving for non-existence. When we have frustration, disappointment, when it is intolerable, due to that unsatisfied craving, because you could not gain what you wanted, then you decide to commit suicide, thinking that will be the end of it. You want to stop it. That is under craving for non-existence. It is craving. Some others believe, who suffer from various sicknesses, problems, old age, life is miserable. They think, how not? If I can stop this life, not to have another birth, then believe. It is a craving for non-existence. That belief doesn't work. Disappointment and various other frustrations created that idea in the mind not to become again. It is only a belief, it doesn't work. The other one is a skeptics, or so-called free-thinkers, very strongly believe this is the only life. There is nothing hereafter, and we like it. That is called annihilation. Nihilistic views. It is also craving. These 3 kinds of craving always support existence again and again. The very day when we could manage to withdraw these 3 kinds of craving, then naturally rebirth stops. Then we introduce this as the aim of life. Why? After that, no more rebirth, no more old age, no more struggle, no more fighting, no more quarantine, no more worrying, no more death. Free from all these problems. Taken 15 minutes to answer your question.
Venerable Sir, may I ask 2 questions?
Two? No, only one.
First one is, he said heaven and hell cannot be stick. It is fact.
Heaven and hell?
Cannot be stick.
What is that?
It's a reward and punishment. But in Buddhism,
Yes.
also there is heaven and hell. How would you explain that?
In Buddhism there is no heaven or hell. Only truth. In Buddhism you can find only truth, but no heaven, no hell. Anyway, I have to answer your question. Buddhism never denies the suffering and enjoyment. Here and hereafter. And Buddhism never says, this is the only life, this is the only world. So, after accumulating lot of merits, good deeds, when rebirth takes place in a very favorable, nice condition, situation, where they can experience happy, contented, worldly life, to Buddhists, that is heaven. Again, due to their certain bad deeds, karmas, if rebirth takes place, if not while they are living here, within this lifetime, if they experience most miserable, unfortunate, suffering, worry, disturbances, that is hell from the Buddhist point of view. Therefore, heaven and hell were not located in any particular area in this universe. Heaven and hell were not created by God or Buddha or Deva. Heaven and hell exist all over the universe, where people experience pleasure and pain. I think this is very reasonable.
Venerable sir, earlier on you said something about humanism and that religion is about humanism. But I could remember clearly, some years ago I read humanism, and it's wonderful because it teaches you to be kind and humane without expecting anything, without expecting to go to heaven or to attain Nibbana. So if one were a free thinker, I would have thought humanism would be a very good philosophy to adopt because you don't expect anything.
Your question is a very good one. Although we can talk, but not easy to practice what he says. Because the human mind is such. Man is not ready to do any good thing if there is no reward. He is not ready to stop his bad deeds if there is no punishment, because of his selfishness. So as long as selfishness remains in the man's mind, this situation remains. That is why every religion talks about heaven and hell. Otherwise, no one can control the mankind. But very few understanding people maintain that attitude. Just now I mentioned young people who came to see the Buddha and asked this question, the way how Buddha has answered, 10 kind of guidelines for them to observe. In the end, what did he say? He knew these young people do not believe that there is a life hereafter. He knew. The Buddha did not try to influence them, to advise them to believe there will be another life hereafter. What did he do? He told them, you should not worry about your next life. Fulfill your duty. Make use of this life for good purpose. Without neglecting your duty, live happily, without disturbing others. That is enough for you. That means indirectly, he pointed out, those who carry on their way of life never suffer in the next birth. I can give another example. Well-known Australian Buddhist scholar, Mr. David Morris. He has written many Buddhist books, very learned man. When he was suffering from cancer at the age of 85, he has written a letter. I also got one copy from him. In his letter he mentioned, Venerable Sir, I hope that you will be very happy to know that I died today. Then he has given two reasons. He has written this letter and handed over to somebody to post after his death. That is why he says, happy to know that I died today. First thing, ever since I have become a Buddhist, I try my best not to violate the 5 precepts. Uphold the 5 precepts with conviction. If there is life hereafter, I think that life cannot become a miserable one because I have not violated these principles. Second reason, I am an old man who has been suffering from cancer, severe pain, and after my death, so I will be free from this suffering. These are the two reasons why you should be happy. This is the way how understanding people face death. They do not worry about it. That is why the Buddha said, do your duty without creating anxieties in your mind, without worrying about next life. Many people are worrying about next birth, next life, worrying about heaven, worrying about hell. Forget about all these things. Do your duty. Behave as gentlemen. That is enough for you. Then life never becomes unfortunate one.
Excuse me, sir. If you excuse my limited mental capabilities, I would like to ask this silly question. If there is heaven and hell in the sights of Buddhists, will that not pose as a craving or a fear to do good? Yeah.
The advice given by the Buddha to those young people is the answer. Because the Buddha has advised them not to worry, not to think about the next life or heaven or hell. Do their work, do their duty without neglecting. So he did not want to create temptation about heaven or fear about talking about heaven. So Buddhist attitude is like that. But ordinary Buddhists always pray to go to heaven. Because they do not know what this heaven is, where it is, how it looks like. Because religious people have illustrated this so nicely. So they are crazy. And I have told you some time ago, a well-known American writer, Ingersoll, critic, in his book, he says, instead of going to heaven, I prefer to go to hell. Why? All the intellectuals in this world who appear are in hell today, including the Buddha. Scientists, psychologists, rationalists, the Buddha, because they did not believe in Creator God. All those who do not believe in Creator God go to hell. Therefore, I would like to go and join with them. To me, heaven is good only for playboys, not for me.